The galaxy had grown silent about humans. Centuries ago, they were known as fierce explorers, stubborn and brave. But after the Great Purge, most believed they were gone forever. No human colony sent signals. No ship carried their banners. The stars forgot their name. For generations, Commander Soraya of the Valeth Empire believed that story. She had read about humans in old archives, warriors who fought like storms, who never surrendered even when outnumbered. Yet she told herself those were only legends, myths from a violent age. Her fleet patrolled the edge of a dying system called Rho 9. The sun was fading, and its planets were nothing but ruins. Soraya's mission was simple: clear the sector of raiders and search for old tech. The Valeth were proud and logical. They saw emotion as weakness. To them, humanity's passion was a flaw, not strength. But that changed when her ship, the Verital, detected an unknown distress signal from the third moon of Rho 9. The signal was old, human frequency, ancient and unstable. The bridge crew exchanged uncertain looks. No one had seen a human code in 1,000 years. Soraya gave the order. Set course for the source. We investigate. The moon was gray and scarred with deep canyons. Old structures half buried under dust showed signs of ancient battles. Her team landed near a broken tower where the signal pulsed faintly. Inside, the air was thin. Everything smelled of rust and age. They moved carefully through the ruins, weapons ready, scanners sweeping. The structure looked like a bunker, long abandoned. Then, in the heart of the bunker, they found something impossible. A cryopod. The old human symbol, the blue earth insignia, was still visible on the surface, faded but real. Soraya's second-in-command, a tall Valeth named Corin, examined it with disbelief. This is human technology, he said. It shouldn't exist anymore. Soraya knelt beside the pod, brushing away the dust. Inside was a man, frozen in time, wearing tattered armor. His face was pale but calm, as if merely sleeping. For a long moment, the crew was silent. It felt like standing before a ghost from another age. Corin frowned. It could be dangerous, Commander. We should destroy it. No telling what contamination it carries. But Soraya's eyes stayed on the man's face. There was something about him, a presence, a quiet defiance even in sleep. The legends called them warriors of will. Now she understood why. No, she said softly. We wake him. The engineers protested, warning of system instability, but Soraya insisted. The cryochamber hissed as ancient gas released. Lights flickered to life for the first time in centuries. And then movement. The man's eyes opened. They were a deep, tired blue filled with confusion and memory. He gasped, drawing in his first breath in hundreds of years. The air burned his lungs, but he did not falter. He looked around at the alien faces before him, Valeth soldiers with cold silver skin and sharp armor. Soraya stepped forward. You are safe, she said. You've been asleep for a long time. The man blinked slowly. His voice was hoarse but strong. Where am I? You are on Rho 9. This sector belongs to the Valeth Empire. He frowned, looking distant, lost in thoughts of a time long gone. Valeth, he repeated softly. Humans fought them once. Corin raised his weapon slightly. He remembers war. Commander, this could... But the man raised his hand weakly. I am not here to fight. Not anymore. Soraya studied him closely. What is your name? He hesitated, then answered. Captain Ryan Holt, United Earth Defense Force, or what's left of it. The name felt heavy, ancient yet alive again. Around them, the silence deepened. Even the hum of machines seemed to fade. Soraya realized something profound. Humanity was not gone. At least one still lived. Captain Holt, she said quietly. You are the first human I have ever seen. He looked at her with weary eyes. Then I hope I'm not the last. Outside, the dying sun of Rho 9 sent its weak light through the cracks of the bunker. The air shimmered with dust, and for the first time in centuries, human eyes looked upon the stars once more. Soraya felt something stir in her, a feeling the Valeth had long forgotten. Hope. The air inside the bunker grew warmer as the ancient cryo systems powered down. Captain Ryan Holt sat weakly against the wall, breathing slowly. His mind was trying to catch up with the reality around him. The last thing he remembered was fire. Ships burning, voices shouting through broken comms, and then silence. And now, Here he was, surrounded by alien faces from a time far beyond his own. Commander Saraya watched him quietly. Her sharp eyes studied every small movement he made. She had seen many strange things in her service, but this man, this human, was something else. He looked fragile, yet there was strength in his gaze. Even after centuries in sleep, his spirit didn't seem broken. She turned to her second-in-command. "Corin, prepare the medical chamber on the Verital. We'll take him aboard." Corin hesitated. "Commander, with respect, this is unwise. We don't know what he is capable of. Humans were dangerous in their time." Saraya looked at him steadily. "So are we, yet we control our power. He deserves the same chance." Corin looked unconvinced, but obeyed. Two soldiers carefully helped Ryan to his feet. His legs trembled, but he managed to stand. His eyes wandered across the room, taking in the ancient walls marked with the faded emblem of Earth. For a moment, he touched the symbol, a blue circle with white lines, and closed his eyes. "Everything we built," he murmured, "buried in dust." Saraya heard the quiet sadness in his voice but said nothing. She led the group out of the bunker. The wind on the moon's surface was weak but sharp. The Verital stood waiting like a silver bird against the gray rocks. Ryan paused at the sight of it. The sleek design, glowing engines, and alien symbols painted on its hull. He smiled faintly. "You Valeth. You learned well." "That's a beautiful ship," Corin frowned. "You speak as if you taught us." Ryan glanced at him calmly. "Maybe we did. Long ago." The group boarded the ship and the airlock hissed shut behind them. The corridor inside gleamed with cold light and perfect order. Valeth soldiers moved aside, their expressions neutral but their eyes curious. Few had ever seen something truly alien before, and now before them stood the last human. They guided Ryan to the med bay. Machines scanned his body, showing data that the Valeth doctors found difficult to interpret. His organs were similar to Valeth physiology in some ways, but also stronger, more adaptable. His heart rate was steady despite his long sleep. "He is recovering faster than expected," the doctor said. "Human biology. It's resilient." Saraya nodded slightly. "Keep monitoring him." When the others left, Ryan sat up slowly, looking around the clean, bright room. "So," he said, his voice low, "what year is it now?" Saraya hesitated. "By our calendar, it is the year 4261. Ryan's eyes widened slightly. 4,000! He shook his head. "That means I slept for almost 1,000 years. "Yes," Saraya said softly. "Your kind vanished long ago. No signal, no colony, nothing left. Many believed humanity destroyed itself." He looked down, silent for a moment. "Maybe we did. The wars were endless. When our colonies fell, Earth became desperate. We fought everyone, not even the Valeth, I think." Saraya folded her hands behind her back. "You did. The Valeth remember the wars well. Humans fought with passion, without fear, even when they had no chance of victory." Ryan gave a tired smile. "That sounds like us." He looked out the window where stars glimmered faintly beyond the ship's hull. "Tell me, Commander, what happened after us? Who rules the galaxy now?" "The Valeth Empire spans most of known space," Saraya replied. "But peace is then fragile. Many smaller races resist our order. Pirates and scavengers roam the empty worlds. And now with your arrival, everything may change." Ryan raised an eyebrow. "Because I'm human? Because you are living proof that humans existed, and maybe still exist somewhere," Saraya said. "That changes history. It changes what people believe." Ryan nodded slowly. "Belief can be stronger than weapons." There was silence between them for a moment. Two beings from different worlds, different times, yet somehow alike. Then Ryan said quietly, "Commander, what do you believe?" Saraya blinked, a little surprised by the question. "I believe in duty and order." "In reason," he smiled faintly. "No, I mean, what do you believe about me?" She looked at him for a long time before replying. "I don't know yet." Later, in the command chamber, Corin stood before Saraya with visible concern. "Commander, this human, Holt, he's a relic. Why risk our ship and our crew for him?" "Because history matters," Saraya replied calmly. "If he holds knowledge of the past, we must learn it." Corin's expression hardened. Or he could be lying. For all we know, he could be a weapon left behind by his kind. Saraya turned toward him sharply. "Enough, Corin. Fear does not serve us. Continue your duties." Corin lowered his head, but his eyes showed quiet anger. "Yes, Commander." When he left, Saraya exhaled slowly. She wouldn't admit it aloud, but she understood his fear. The Valeth had fought the humans in a brutal war long ago. The story said humans destroyed entire fleets before falling. To the Valeth, humans were monsters of emotion, unpredictable, unstoppable, and full of defiance. Now one of those monsters was alive on her ship. Rian spent the next few days regaining strength. He learned quickly, asking questions about the Valeth Empire and the state of the galaxy. Some crew members avoided him, whispering rumors behind his back. Others stared in silent awe when he passed. He was strange, but also fascinating. One evening, as the Veritol orbited above Row 9, Saraya visited him again. He stood near the observation window watching the red sun burn weakly below. "You should rest," she said. "I've had enough rest for a lifetime," he replied softly. His eyes remained on the dying sun. "It's strange. Even after all this time, the stars still look the same." "Stars don't change easily," Saraya said. "They are constant." "Maybe," Ryan murmured. "But people change. Empires rise, fall, and rise again." He turned to her, his expression serious. "Tell me, Commander, why did the Valeth survive when so many others didn't?" Saraya hesitated. "Because we learned control. Emotion destroyed the old races. We became logical, calm, efficient. That is our strength." Ryan studied her face. "But also your weakness." She frowned slightly. "Explain." "You built walls inside your hearts," he said. "That's how humans lost too. We built weapons to protect ourselves, and in the end we forgot why we fought." Saraya looked at him, unsure how to answer. His words struck something deep inside her. For a moment she wondered if her people's silence, when their lack of feeling, was truly strength or just fear disguised as order. Before she could respond, an alarm echoed through the ship. Red lights flashed across the corridor. "Commander, to the bridge," a voice shouted through the comm. Saraya tapped her communicator. "Report." "Unknown ships incoming," said the officer. "Multiple signatures, Raider fleet." "They're arming weapons." Saraya turned sharply. "Shields up. Prepare for combat." She ran toward the bridge with Ryan following close behind. The room filled with activity as Valeth officers took their stations. On the main screen, dark ships appeared. Jagged, rust-colored raiders, scavengers of forgotten worlds. "They've locked onto us," shouted Corin. "Firing in 5 seconds." The ship shook violently as plasma rounds hit the outer hull. Sparks flew across the deck. Saraya steadied herself. "Return fire. Target their lead ship." Ryan grabbed the edge of a console, watching the chaos unfold. "They're pirates," he said grimly. "You can't fight them defensively. You have to hit them hard and fast." Corin glared at him. "Stay back, human. You know nothing about our tactics." Ryan's eyes narrowed. "I fought raiders before your ancestors were born. You want to survive? Listen to me." Saraya hesitated for a moment, torn between trust and caution. But then another blast rocked the ship and alarms screamed louder. Instinct guided her. "Captain Holt," she said, "take the tactical console." Corin's eyes widened in disbelief, but Ryan was already moving. His hands flew over the unfamiliar controls, adapting quickly. "Shift power to forward shields. Divert engines to half and swing the port batteries now." The Veritol turned sharply, its weapons blazing. The first enemy ship exploded in a burst of fire. The crew stared in astonishment. Ryan's orders came fast and confident, efficient but full of human instinct. Within minutes, the raider fleet began to retreat. The Veritol chased them until they disappeared into the void. Silence filled the bridge again. Saraya looked at Rian. "You just saved this ship." He smiled faintly. "Old habits die hard." Corin glared but said nothing. The crew, however, looked at Ryan with new eyes. No longer as a relic of the past, but as a warrior. Saraya turned back to the window where the stars shone bright once more. Her voice was quiet but filled with meaning. "Maybe," she said softly, "the universe hasn't forgotten the humans after all." The Veritol drifted silently among the stars after the battle. The raider fleet had been destroyed, but the scars of the fight still marked the ship. The hull was burned, and systems flickered weakly in some corridors. The crew worked quickly to repair the damage, moving with the quiet discipline of the Valeth people. Commander Saraya Velen stood on the observation deck, watching the distant glow of the destroyed raider ships. Her reflection shimmered faintly in the glass. For most Valeth commanders, victory was just another part of duty. No joy, no pride. But this victory felt different. It had come from the hands of a human, a being she had only known for a few days yet could not stop thinking about. She heard footsteps behind her. Captain Rian Holt walked in slowly, his steps steady but tired. His old armor had been repaired, and he now wore a simple Valith uniform. Somehow he still looked like a soldier, even without rank or insignia. Saraya turned slightly. "You should be resting." "I'll rest when I stop shaking," Ryan said with a small smile. "It's been a long time since I was on a bridge during combat." "You handled yourself well," she said. "My crew follows orders, but they don't feel them the way you did." Ryan leaned against the window. "That's the problem, isn't it? You have control but no emotion. We had too much emotion and lost control." Saraya studied him carefully. "You speak as if emotion is a weapon." "It can be," Ryan replied softly. "It can destroy you or save you. The difference is what you fight for." His words lingered in the air like distant echoes. Saraya turned her gaze back to the stars. For a moment, neither spoke. Only the soft hum of the ship filled the silence. Finally, she said, "Tell me about your time. About humanity before the end." Rian took a deep breath. "You really want to know?" "Yes," she said quietly. "Your existence changes everything we thought we knew. I want to understand." He nodded slowly, eyes fixed on the stars. "We were dreamers, Commander. We spread across the stars because we believed we could. Earth became small and the galaxy became our new home. But we weren't ready for what we found." He paused, remembering. "We met other races, the Valith among them. Some became friends, some rivals. For a while there was peace. Trade, alliances, exploration. But humans, we always wanted more. We didn't understand balance. We built weapons faster than we built peace. And when fear came, war followed." Saraya listened carefully, her hands folded behind her back. "And the Purge?" Ryan's expression darkened. "The Great Purge wasn't just a war. It was the end of everything we built. The Valith weren't our only enemies. There were others. The Threx, the Dominion, the Norgal Swarm. Everyone fought everyone. Entire worlds burned. We tried to protect our colonies, but it was useless. The war swallowed us whole." He looked at his hands, his voice low. "We lost Earth first. I was part of the last defense fleet. We fought above the planet's sky until the atmosphere turned to fire. After that, I volunteered for the Cryo Project, Project Phoenix. It was meant to preserve our species one soldier at a time in case anyone ever found us. I guess they never did. Until now." Saraya felt a strange tightness in her chest. For someone of the Valith, emotion was rare, almost forbidden. But hearing Ryan's words stirred something in her, sorrow and admiration both. "You fought for your people," she said quietly. "Even when hope was gone." Ryan smiled faintly. "That's what humans do. We fight because we must. Because hope isn't something we wait for. It's something we make." For a moment the room felt brighter. Saraya didn't speak. She simply looked at him, the last echo of a forgotten age still carrying the fire of his people. In the command hall, the crew had mixed feelings. Some saw Rian as a hero after the battle. Others saw him as a danger, a reminder of the chaos their ancestors once feared. Corin stood near the tactical display, speaking quietly to a group of officers. "He gives orders like he owns this ship," Corin said, his tone sharp. "Humans once destroyed whole worlds with that kind of confidence." One officer replied, "But he saved us." "For now," Corin snapped. "But what happens when his old instincts return? He's a soldier from a violent age. Commander Saraya trusts him too much." When Saraya entered, the conversation stopped immediately. Her calm gaze moved from Corin to the others. "I can hear you from the corridor," she said. "If you have doubts, speak them openly." Corin straightened. "Commander, I only speak out of concern. This human—" "Captain Holt," Saraya corrected him. Corin continued, ignoring the correction. "Is unpredictable. He comes from an age when emotion ruled over reason. We are not like them. We built peace through control. But now you invite chaos aboard this ship." Saraya's voice remained steady. "You think I don't know the risk? I have seen the same things you have. But I also saw what he did out there. He saved our lives when logic failed. His instincts filled the gap our control could not." Corin's eyes hardened. "You're letting sentiment guide you." Saraya took a step closer. "And perhaps you're letting fear guide you. Do not confuse the two." The bridge grew silent again. Corin lowered his head. "Yes, Commander." After he left, Saraya exhaled softly. Her control was perfect, but inside her mind, questions stirred. The Valith had always believed emotion made them weak. But was that truly strength or just a cage they built for themselves? Later that night, Saraya found Rian in the ship's library, a quiet room filled with glowing digital archives. He stood before a holographic projection of Earth, its blue and white beauty recreated from ancient records. "Beautiful, isn't it?" he said softly. "We called it the cradle of life. Now it's just a story." Saraya joined him, looking at the image. "So small," she murmured. "Yet your kind changed the galaxy." Ryan smiled faintly. "We tried." "Maybe too hard," he turned to her. "Tell me about the Valeth Empire. What drives you now?" Saraya hesitated. "We believe in order and progress. Our empire brings structure to chaos. Every planet we rule is stable and peaceful." "Peaceful," Ryan repeated, "or silent." Her eyes narrowed slightly. "What do you mean?" He stepped closer, his tone calm but serious. "I've seen empires like that before, where peace means obedience and silence, where people forget how to hope." Saraya didn't answer. His words struck too close to truth. Deep inside, she knew that many Valeth worlds lived in perfect order, but that order came from fear, not faith. Ryan sighed. "Maybe that's why I'm here, Commander. Not to remind you of war, but to remind you what it means to feel." She looked at him, uncertain how to respond. The space between them felt alive, filled with things neither could say. Then the ship's alarm interrupted the moment. "Commander," came a voice through the comm. "We've picked up a transmission from Valeth Command. Priority level, Crimson." Saraya straightened immediately. "Patch it through." A holographic image appeared. A Valeth admiral with sharp metallic features. "Commander Valen," he said coldly, "we have received your report. You have recovered an ancient human. This is unacceptable. Humans are classified as extinct by Imperial law. You are ordered to terminate the specimen and erase all records." Ryan's expression turned hard. Saraya's chest tightened. "Admiral," she began. "With respect, this human is not a specimen. He is alive." "He is dangerous," the Admiral interrupted. "History proves what they are capable of. The Council will not allow his existence to threaten the Empire's stability. Do your duty, Commander." The hologram vanished. Silence fell. Ryan looked at her calmly. "So that's it, huh? Your people want to erase me again." Saraya's jaw tightened. "I will not let them harm you." Rian studied her carefully. "That could cost you everything." "I know," she said. For the first time since she joined the military, Saraya felt the weight of rebellion forming in her heart. Logic told her to obey. Duty told her to submit. But something deeper, something very human, told her to fight. Outside, the stars of Row 9 glimmered coldly. Inside the ship, two souls from different worlds stood side by side, one born of logic, one born of fire, as the shadow of the Valeth Empire began to fall upon them both. The Verital drifted above Row 9's moon, quiet like a ghost in the night. Inside the ship, every corridor hummed with tension. The Valeth crew no longer looked at the human with fear. Now they looked with wonder and perhaps a bit of respect. Captain Rian Holt had become more than a mystery. He was proof that humanity's spirit still burned. Commander Saraya stood in the observation chamber, staring at the broken planet below. The faint light from the dying sun bathed her silver armor in gold. She thought about how everything had changed since they had awakened the human. Her crew spoke of him in whispers. Some called him dangerous, others called him a legend. Saraya thought of him as something else, a mirror showing them what they had forgotten. She turned as the doors opened. Ryan stepped in, wearing repaired armor the engineers had built from Valeth alloys and his old gear. It looked strange, human design mixed with alien craft, but somehow it fit him perfectly. "You walk quietly," Saraya said, smiling slightly, "for someone made of war." Ryan looked out the window beside her. "I learned long ago that war isn't always loud," he replied. "Sometimes it's silence that kills." Saraya studied him carefully. His eyes were tired but focused. "Your words, they always carry weight. Do all humans speak like that?" Ryan smiled faintly. "Only the ones who have seen too much." For a moment, silence filled the room again. Below them, the surface of Row 9 shimmered with faint blue light. Strange signals were rising from old ruins. The Valeth sensors had detected them hours ago. An army was waking. Machines that had once fought against humanity were stirring again. The enemy that destroyed Earth's colonies still existed hidden beneath the dust. Saraya crossed her arms. The machines are moving. My scouts report dozens of war constructs reactivating near the equator. We can't leave yet, Ryan nodded. I know those signals. They're automated guardians, part of the Purge protocol. They were built to finish humanity. And anyone who helps them. She turned to him sharply. You mean they'll come for us too? Yes, he said simply. The machines don't care about race or reason. Their code is simple. Erase anything that remembers humanity. Saraya's expression hardened. Then we stand and fight. Ryan looked at her with quiet admiration. You sound like one of us now. Her silver eyes glowed faintly in the low light. Maybe I've learned something from you, human. Hours later, the ship's alarms echoed through the halls. The ground sensors showed movement, hundreds of machines rising from the deep valleys of Row 9. They looked like shadows with burning red eyes, walking metal shaped for war. The sky above the moon flickered as ancient satellites reactivated, sending coded signals to call more units. On the command deck, Saraya stood beside Ryan, watching the screens fill with red blips. They're coming faster than expected, said Corin, the second in command. Our ground team is trapped near the signal core. Saraya didn't hesitate. Prepare dropships. I'll lead the rescue myself. Corin's eyes widened. Commander, that's too dangerous. Ryan stepped forward. I'll go with her. Everyone turned to him. The Valeth soldiers looked uncertain. He was not one of them, yet there was something about his voice that made them listen. Saraya nodded once. Very well. You and I will go. The dropship roared through the thin atmosphere, shaking as it entered the storm clouds. Lightning flashed outside, painting the sky in white fire. Inside the cabin, Ryan checked his weapon. A hybrid rifle built from Valeth plasma tech and old human design. It hummed softly in his hands. Saraya watched him with interest. You seem calm. He gave a small smile. This isn't my last battle. Her head tilted. You speak as if you expect to die. He shook his head. I don't expect to, but I'm ready if I must. The dropship landed near the ruins, its engines throwing up dust and fire. As the ramp opened, a rush of cold air filled the cabin. Outside, the valley glowed with blue lights, the awakening of machines. Ryan and Saraya led their team into the storm. Metal giants moved in the distance, their heavy steps shaking the ground. The soldiers fired plasma bolts, lighting up the battlefield with flashes of white and blue. Ryan's instincts returned like old friends. He moved through the chaos with precision, his rifle singing in his hands. Every shot found its mark. His movements were not wild, and they were calm, measured, almost graceful. Saraya followed close, her energy blades cutting through machines with silver arcs. Their teamwork was perfect. The Valeth soldiers who once doubted the human now fought harder, seeing him lead them. His courage was contagious. At the center of the ruins stood a tall structure, the signal core. It pulsed with light, sending orders to the machines. Ryan pointed. We destroy that and they'll fall. Saraya nodded and sprinted forward. But before she reached it, a massive guardian rose from the ground, a war construct the size of a tower. Its chest glowed with molten energy and its voice rumbled like thunder. Human life detected. Eradication protocol activated. Ryan stood his ground. Yeah, he muttered. I've heard that before. The machine fired a beam of light that scorched the ground where he stood. Ryan rolled aside, firing back. The beam missed by inches, carving a deep crater into the stone. Saraya leapt onto a broken pillar and launched herself toward the guardian, slicing through one of its arms. Sparks flew like stars. The machine roared, turning its weapon toward her. But Ryan dashed forward, drawing its attention. He fired at its chest, hitting the glowing core. The machine stumbled, smoke rising from its armor. Saraya now, he shouted. With a sharp cry, she plunged her blade into the machine's core. The explosion threw them both back. The giant fell, crashing into the valley floor with a sound like thunder. For a moment, the battlefield went silent. Then the other machines began to falter, losing coordination. The signal core flickered. Ryan limped toward the control console, hands steady despite the pain. We can't just destroy it, he said. We can use it, Saraya frowned. Use it for what? To send a message, he said quietly. To tell the galaxy that humanity isn't gone. That we still stand. Saraya hesitated, then nodded. Together they reprogrammed the signal. The machine's core glowed white as it transmitted across the stars, an ancient human frequency, reborn after 1,000 years. When the message ended, Ryan turned to her. Now they'll know. She looked at him, her expression unreadable. You realize this will draw attention. Enemies, empires, everything that fears what you are. Ryan smiled faintly. Then let them come. Back aboard the Verital, the crew watched the transmission replay on the holoscreen. The message was short but powerful. This is Captain Ryan Holt of Earth. Humanity endures. We will not fade. If you can hear this, you are not alone. No one spoke for a long time. Even Corin stood silent, eyes wide. The galaxy had changed in a single moment. Saraya stood beside Rian at the viewport once more. The dying sun still burned weakly, but it looked brighter than before. You've started something, she said softly. The Valeth Council will not be pleased. Maybe, Rian replied. But maybe it's time someone reminded them what hope looks like. Saraya looked at him with a quiet smile. You are dangerous, human, he chuckled. So I've been told. Below them, the last of the machines crumbled into silence. The moon was quiet again, but now it carried something new. A spark that could spread across the stars. For the first time in centuries, the universe remembered the name of humankind. The galaxy was stirring. A single message sent from a lonely moon on row 9 had reached the farthest corners of space. Captain Ryan Holt's words and the declaration that humanity endured echoed through old comm channels, ancient relay stations, and pirate frequencies alike. Wherever the signal reached, it sparked hope. Some dismissed it as a myth, others feared it as a warning. But one thing was certain. Humanity had returned, if only in one man. Aboard the Verital, the mood was tense. Commander Saraya Velen walked through the corridors, her mind heavy with decisions. The Valeth Council would soon respond. They were logical, unyielding, and feared the power of humans. To them, Rian's survival was a threat. But Saraya had seen his courage, his determination, and she could not deny that he had awakened something inside her. A spark that defied fear. Commander, said Corin, falling into step beside her. We've received a response from the Council. They are sending a fleet. They demand the immediate surrender of him. Saraya's expression remained calm, but inside a fire burned. And if we refuse? Corin hesitated. Then they consider this an act of rebellion. They will attack. Saraya's gaze shifted to the observation window, where the stars stretched endlessly. Then we fight. Not just for him, but for what he represents. Hope. Corin swallowed, unsure if he admired her bravery or feared it. You are risking everything. Saraya nodded. I know. Meanwhile, Ryan trained with the crew. The Valeth soldiers watched in amazement as the human moved with precision, grace, and power. Every exercise he performed, every maneuver he demonstrated, reminded them why humans had once been feared across the galaxy. But it was not just his skill that impressed them. It was his spirit, his refusal to surrender even in impossible odds. You are ready, Saraya said, watching him during a drill. But the Council will not wait. They will strike first. Ryan wiped sweat from his brow and nodded. Then let them come. We fight not because we want war, but because we refuse to be erased. Her eyes softened. That is why you are human. For a moment, silence fell between them, filled only by the hum of the ship. The words carried weight, a promise that neither of them could ignore. The first fleet arrived within hours. Valeth warships, sleek and cold, filled the void of space, forming a blockade around row 9. Their captain hailed Saraya. Commander Velan, came the voice, metallic and commanding. Surrender the human. Resistance will be met with destruction. Saraya took a deep breath. He is no weapon. He is proof that humanity survives. We will not surrender. The fleet paused, shocked. This was not the expected response. Valeth commanders were trained to obey, not to argue. The voice returned, harsher this time. You are defying the Council. You will regret this, Saraya straightened. Perhaps. But I do not regret defending life. Ryan stood at the front of the bridge, scanning the enemy ships. They've underestimated us, he said quietly. Their formations are tight, but predictable. If we coordinate, we can break through. Corin shook his head. You make it sound easy. Ryan smiled faintly. War is never easy, but humans adapt. The crew moved into position. Shields rose, weapons primed. Every Valeth soldier prepared for the fight of their lives. Outside, the stars seemed to pause, waiting for the first spark of battle. The battle began with a sudden burst of energy. Valeth ships fired upon the Verital, their plasma beams cutting through the void. Ryan moved quickly, directing the ship with intuitive skill. He instructed the crew to use unexpected maneuvers, drawing on strategies long forgotten by the Valeth. Divert power to the forward cannons. Fire at their flanks, he shouted. The Verital twisted through space, dodging blasts and returning fire. Saraya followed his instructions, her energy blades cutting through smaller attack drones that had boarded the ship. The humans and Valeth worked in unison, a fusion of instinct and discipline. Ryan's leadership was undeniable. He moved like a storm through the battlefield, always aware, always precise. Even Corin, who had doubted him before, found himself following orders without hesitation. "We can do this," Ryan shouted. "Hold your lines and strike when ready." The Verital's weapons found their mark, disabling key enemy ships and causing confusion within the fleet. The Valeth commanders were unprepared for a human's tactics, unpredictable, aggressive, yet carefully calculated. During a brief lull, Rian turned to Saraya. "We need to finish this now. The longer the battle goes, the more they will realize what we are capable of." Saraya nodded. "What do you suggest?" He pointed to the largest ship in the enemy formation, the command vessel. "We hit the heart. One strike can collapse their formation and end the battle." She hesitated. "It's heavily armored." He looked at her steadily. "I know, but if we work together, we can do it. Trust me," she met his gaze. Trust was not easy for a Valeth, but she had learned that some things required faith, not reason. "Very well," she said. "We move as one." The Verital sped toward the command ship, weaving through plasma fire and debris. Ryan coordinated every movement, every shot, every maneuver. The enemy fired relentlessly, but the combined skill of human instinct and Valeth discipline proved unstoppable. Saraya activated the energy blades and led the boarding team onto the command vessel. Ryan followed, his rifle ready, moving like a shadow through the corridors. The enemy crew fought fiercely, but they were no match for the human warrior and the Valeth soldiers fighting alongside him. At the heart of the ship, they found the command core, a glowing, pulsating structure. Ryan studied it, his hands moving over controls he barely understood. "This is it," he said. "One coordinated strike and the fleet will fall." Saraya stood beside him, ready to act. "Do it." With precision, Ryan triggered the core's override. Energy surged through the ship, disrupting its systems. Explosions rocked the command vessel. The Valeth fleet, now disorganized, began retreating under the chaos. The battle ended as suddenly as it began. The enemy fleet was destroyed or fled. The Verital floated among the wreckage, smoke and debris drifting through space. The crew cheered quietly, relief and awe mixing together. Ryan stood at the bridge, exhausted but unbowed. His eyes reflected the stars, steady and determined. Saraya approached him. "You've done it. You've won against impossible odds." Ryan shook his head. "We've won this battle. But the war is not over. There will always be those who fear what humanity represents." She smiled faintly. "And yet you still stand. You have reminded us all that hope can endure." He looked at her, tired but resolute. "Hope isn't given. It's earned. And sometimes it's fought for." Saraya's heart felt heavy with understanding. The universe was vast and dangerous, but she realized something profound. Even one human warrior could ignite change, even in the darkest corners of space. The Verital set course for the outer sectors. The stars stretched endlessly ahead. Ryan and Saraya stood side by side on the observation deck, watching the light of distant suns. Humanity had returned, not as a fleet, not as a colony, but as a spark, a warrior who carried the legacy of a lost people. Corin approached quietly. "Commander." "He is unlike any soldier I have ever known." Saraya nodded. "He is human, and we are lucky to witness it." Rian placed a hand on the railing, gazing at the stars. "This is just the beginning. The galaxy will hear our name again, and we will remind them what it means to fight for what matters." Saraya watched him in silence, feeling a mixture of pride, awe, and hope. For the first time in centuries, she believed in something beyond duty, a future shaped not by fear, but by courage, resilience, and the unbreakable spirit of humanity. Outside, the stars sparkled endlessly, as if the universe itself was watching, waiting for the story of one human warrior to be written across the galaxies once more.